Hi, it's Ginny and Tim from DS Tech in Escanaba, Michigan.
Hello.
And what are we talking about today? We're talking about 5
Five.
tips to speed up your slow computer.
Mainly dealing with Windows computers. So if you're Linux, things like that,
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
this isn't going to be familiar. But then again,
No.
you're probably already
Or
pretty
a
tech
Mac.
savvy. Yeah, or Mac, things. But
Well, we don't know those.
as well, yeah, exactly. But yeah, so here's some common things.
Before you go,
Yes, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's okay, because I got to tell you to sign up for our newsletter because we'll share other tips like that to help you in your productivity and your business and all that kind of stuff. Plus, I have an email here for you to email to get our free assessments. And drop your comments and questions in case there's anything else that you'd like us to cover and help you with.
Yeah,
So,
future topic, or you got a tip that I don't say that works really well for you,
Oh,
by all
sure.
means, leave it for someone else to
yeah,
possibly
we love
use.
new tips and new things,
Yes.
and new technology. So
So
bring it.
my first thing is, I guess going into this, it was the most common thing you get from someone is like, my computer is slow. That is just, they don't know exactly what part of it's slow. They're just like, it doesn't run like it used to be. What's going on? It's just kind of slow. So these are kind of some general tips you can do to help speed that up a little bit, as well as how you can possibly look up your computer's hardware to possibly upgrade things like that. So starting off,
Number one.
basically, check your startup programs. Many times when you install a program on a computer, it will automatically allow itself. So when you start the computer, it starts automatically. And sometimes you might not want everything to start automatically when you first do your computer. So it's starting, your email, and now it's going to do your antivirus, things like that that are kind of okay. But then if it starts loading, then it starts loading, your weather, this video program, this news, all this other stuff you don't care about because you just want to get your work done.
Yeah.
You go to your startup. Usually it's through the task manager. There's a startup tab in Windows. Or just look up, how to adjust startup. You'll find it, and then you can toggle on or off different programs that you want starting with the computer. That will significantly speed the startup time. And then my thought is that when I want to use that program, I'll just wait the extra little bit for it to start up again. And then kind of pairing with that, you have some Windows 10 settings. So if you go onto the Windows settings cog, I call it, or the generic settings tab, from there's a privacy tab. Under that privacy tab, there's a lot of stuff that Windows does that tries to predict your behavior, maybe give you better search results, all that kind of stuff. Personally, I turn all of that off because I look at it as almost really tracking, as well as it's just eating up a little bit of resources, and I know what I'm looking for anyway. So it's under like the typing, it's like personalization and ink, all that kind of stuff. You can turn all those things off, and that'll speed up your computer a little bit. And this is more for if you have a really slow, you have Windows 10 on a computer that shouldn't need it. This will really help along that.
Under privacy and settings.
And settings, and then there's
ink.
I think it's like ink and typing and personalization, things like that. You can toggle those off, and that'll allow your computer to just run a little bit faster. Also, in that same tab, there's app permissions. Like you can say yes or no, does it allow my camera to work, or my microphone, kind of similar to your app permissions on your phone. If you go down that list far enough, there's actually one, and this is with Windows 10. I'm not sure on 11 where exactly it's at, but there's one called background apps. And there's probably anywhere from 15 to 25 apps all listed, turned on by default, that are idling in the back of your computer, waiting for you to use it. And then what'll happen is when you do use that, it'll start up a little bit quicker or still run in the background, but that's eating resources. And there's silly things like Microsoft Paint or whatever. So usually I turn all of them off, and that'll also speed up a slower computer for the background apps tab. So those are kind of the biggest one that I'll use on a Windows 10 system is I'll disable all the ink personalization, turn off the background apps from happening under your privacy settings, and that can speed up your computer a little bit. I've noticed, 3 to 5% increase on really slower hardware where it's just struggling even to open the browser and browse the web. Yeah. That's the kind of computer that you're going to notice a big change with that on there.
For sure. Okay.
The second one basically is to check your hard drive usage. It's very common. Most computers now, if they're relatively modern or have solid state drive, this won't be an issue. But if you have a laptop 5-6 years old and you're still using it and it's just really bogging down, having a hard time, chances are it's still on a spinning disk hard drive.
Although I did, as the procurement person, I know that there are still a lot of systems up there with spinning drives.
Yeah, because usually what will happen is the user will go looking at a laptop and they'll say, I want a lot of storage. And so they're like, I can get 1 terabyte of storage or 256 and they're the same price. What is this about? Well, the 1 terabyte of storage is going to be at the old spending disks, where your 256 will be the newer solid state drive. So if you don't need that amount of storage, I always recommend go with the solid state. And if you do need the storage, buy an external hard drive or augment it, because if everything you're running is on that slower hard drive, your computer overall is going to suffer the speed. So if you have the faster hard drive here, and with like an external hard drive you plug in or whatever to give you the space, that would be the route to go, in my personal opinion, for getting a new computer. However, if you're using an older computer, you might not have that ability. So then just if you check the task manager, you notice your hard drive is always pegged out in usages, that you can do the old school like a check disk and a defrag on the spinning disks, where you run a defrag program overnight. It might help it speed up a little bit, put things in the right order. It's not as relevant on the solid state drives, but basically checking your hard drive and then making sure there's enough free space. Usually they say 10% for solid state drives or more, because it wants space to operate. So if you have a 256 gigabyte hard drive, but you're running at 230 gigabytes of it's free, that hard drive is going to be angry. It's probably going to show up red in your computer, and your computer is going to overall suffer because of it. So you want to make sure you clear up. The general is 10%, but if you can get 15-20%, that's what I like to personally.
I have a side story on that.
Go ahead.
At work, when my hard drive was red, you guys saw it on the MSP whatever software.
Yep, we'll get alerts.
And they upgraded my computer. It was very cool.
A lot of what we do now, it's not so much where we're waiting for your computer to break and now we got to run there and fix it. It's actually much more beneficial to both you, the customer, and for us if we can see an alert like, oh, hey, this hard drive's getting full. Maybe we can correct it before it gets there and basically fix it before it's broken is the idea now. Is preventative maintenance is key. And so having those alerts trigger and stuff is.
I just thought that was cool. I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. Now my computer's working really good.
Yep. So hard drive use, that kind of stuff is a big one. So now this is more for if you have like a manufacturer, like say a Dell or an HP. A lot of those computers will come with a service tag number on them, or some sort of like, I guess you could say, a VIN number that'll identify it.
Or serial number.
Or
for IBM, it's called a machine number.
Machine number?
Yeah.
Okay. So with all these numbers, and this is more pertaining
numbers.
To where if you're getting a computer on eBay used, a relative gives you a computer and it's just slow and you want to kind of look it up or see, or if it's your own you've had for a few years and you forget exactly what it's all capable of, look that up through their warranty website, and it'll usually list the specifications of the computer, the purchase date, so you can know exactly how old it is. But the key items you're going to get, if it even has warranty available, and then key components where if the hardware still exists for it. Say you have a laptop and there's 8 gigabytes of RAM in it and you're curious, like, can I upgrade this to 16? I don't know. Look up the warranty. It'll tell you the capable max specs of what you can have on the system. And then it'll also then give you the part number where if you wanted to get the actual RAM, you're not trying to figure out which RAM you're getting. You can get the exact RAM for the computer. And the RAM is like installing a Lego. It's actually pretty simple on a computer if you're comfortable doing that. But that's a big way you can increase your productivity in an old laptop, is seeing what the RAM is, upgrade the RAM to the highest one, if possible.
Make sure you don't you have some kind of static guard.
Yeah, so all the standard stuff have it, when you're taking apart computers,
if you do that,
guard, that kind of thing, definitely do your due diligence, watch a lot of YouTube videos, maybe have someone that's tech savvy walk you through the first one so you're not doing it by yourself. That kind of thing, by all means, I would recommend too. So basically adding more RAM, that kind of stuff is there. And then on top of the RAM, another part, I guess it's 2 parts in one, you can basically update all of your drivers, your BIOS, all that kind of stuff, usually through that as well, because a lot of times as a home user, you're not as diligent updating your computer and all that kind of stuff, and you might do your Windows updates, but you might not be doing your driver updates. So by making sure you update your drivers and your BIOS and things like that, it'll help the computer keep up with the modern times. Sometimes there's extra code in there that's made to work with things, so just make sure you update that stuff. That'll help speed your computer up as well. So there's a thing called Dell Command Update. It'll just do it for you. You can download and run it if you have a Dell. It'll go automatically find all the drivers, install them, reboot your computer. You're good to go. You don't have to do it manually. Otherwise, for those of you that are tech savvy, you can obviously download the driver packages individually and then install the ones that you want as well. And then the last thing I tell people to speed up your computer, pretty much you can always wipe and reload. So if you have an older computer, 5-6 years old, and you're really struggling, you don't want to get a new one, what I tell people is save all of your documents, your photos, any sort of important information onto an external hard drive or some sort of external medium, Because when you wipe your computer, everything's gone. It's like you bought it from the store. All you're going to have is Windows and internet browser, and that's going to be basically it. But by wiping and reloading, you're getting rid of all that bloat in the Windows rot that's built up over this years by adding and removing programs, and you will be actually amazed at how fast sometimes an older laptop can still perform if it's just wiped and factory reset. So all you need to do that is get a little thumb drive, 8 gigabytes. Again, you can watch YouTube videos how to create a Windows reload disk. You can just download it for free off the internet, run a program to install it, and then you boot into that on your computer, and then you wipe your computer. Now, there's tons of YouTube videos out there to do this that'll walk you along step by step how to do this. Again, if you're lucky enough to have a tech or someone help walk you through it, great. But honestly, just to wipe and reload your computer with a USB disk is something that I feel most people are capable of doing as long as you can follow instructions. It's no harder than following an lavish recipe, honestly. If you can follow a recipe and make like a lasagna, you can wipe your computer. It's the same mentality. You just have to go step by step. Don't skip everything, and you'll be good at the end of it.
The biggest thing I find with doing things like that, what you just said, don't skip a step and read it.
You have to read it before you start going.
Instructions.
Yes. Don't just have your disk and then you plug it in your computer and you're going to wipe it the first time you watch a YouTube video. Horrible idea. Never do that. Please review it multiple times, get confident with it, and then
right.
And it does help to read through because sometimes the later step may depend on a previous step, and if you're just going step by step, you might not see that at the time.
And if you skip it, or if you scan it, without, for sure.
So
and one more thing that you mentioned too is make sure you back it up.
You want to back up all of your data, your photos, anything you want, because when you're doing a wipe and a reload, it is just like you're getting it, like I said, from the factory, without anything on it. It actually might be cleaner because sometimes when you buy computers from, Best Buy or wherever, they come loaded with a bunch of, they call it bloatware, pre-installed software on there that they might get installed as a partnership with them. So if you do a complete factory wipe, it's basically Windows and nothing else. A lot of your drivers might not even be loaded yet too, which is why it's important to then, once you reload Windows, the first thing you're going to do is do your Windows updates, which will actually find a lot of drivers now built in for you. And whatever drivers Windows Update doesn't find, go to the manufacturer's website, HP, Dell, wherever, and you'll get all the rest of the drivers you need from there. That's pretty much the two-step, when you wipe and reload, is you save all your files, wipe new Windows, and then load the drivers. And from there, you have a blanket computer where now you can start installing programs again. And you're going to be so much faster, especially if you haven't formatted your computer in 4 or 5 years, and you wipe it. You'll be amazed at how faster it works. So.
For sure. So we had 5 things possible to speed up your computer. Number 1
was the turning off some background apps and programs through Windows, or adjusting your startup kind of things. Second thing was checking your hard drive usage and upgrading to an SSD if possible, and then the third thing would be using the Dell updates for your drivers through the manufacturer website, using that serial number or VIN number. And then also pairing with that, the next thing would be adding more RAM, if capable. RAM to your computer will definitely improve it with solid state drive. Those are the 2 biggest factors that will improve your speed. And then the last one would be basically the home users of, I kind of cheated, and I
3 and 4 were kind of
for the
together.
Dell warranty. I cheated. I basically did the drivers as 1, and then the RAM as 2, but they're kind of the same. But
okay, so that was 3 and 4.
Yep.
And then 5.
And then 5 would be basically wiping and reloading Windows for your home computer or laptop or whatever it is there. So
thank you, Tim. Awesome. So speed up your hardware.
Yes.
If you can, and if you can't, then call your MSP.
Yes.
Right. If you have one, and if you're a home user, you just have to find a different person to help you. So that's it.
A lot of people are scared with the home use tech stuff things, and I totally get it too. But like I said, with the information that's available to you online with YouTube videos and so many walkthroughs,
there's a
lot of information out there. Don't be scared. Just like I said, the biggest thing is step by step. Don't skip a step.
Yeah,
that's
for
all.
sure.
Computers is very important order of operations. So.
For sure. Okay, so appreciate it. Thank you for those tips. Drop any tips that you have, or questions or topics that you'd like us to cover and help you with. Go to dstech.net to sign up for our newsletter for more of those tips, and email security@dstech.net for one of our free assessments if you're a business. So, all right.
Awesome.
Make it a great day. We'll see you next time.